Hi, welcome everyone to Season 5 of the Ruin Hammer live show where we talk all things One New Zealand Warriors. Thank you all for joining us. Tonight we're going to discuss the Warriors, how can you call it, heartbreaking loss to the Eels. Abysmal loss, poor loss to the Eels at Go Media Stadium last week. Look at the other round 22 results, and then we're going to preview this round's round 23 game against the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium, and look at all your comments in the chat thread. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my good mate and co-host Warrior Roo. Robbie, how are you, mate?
G'day, mates. Yeah, all good, thanks. Look, last Saturday night, Friday night, sorry, was a double disappointment because straight after I'd watched us, that, would you call it even a performance against the Eels? I went straight on to watch the Boomers against Greece, and they tossed up something similar, and then they went on to completely stuff it up against Serbia the other night. So, as you guys know, I'm a massive basketball fan, and like we had high hopes for the Boomers this Olympics with a couple of NBA stars in there, but mate, wasn't to be. So other than that, I'm good. Been in the office a couple of days this week. Took a bit of a stroll around Suncorp Stadium today, as I usually do, because my office is right near there. I'm just like visualizing an upset win on Sunday, which would be great because I'll be there. I am going to the game. And I'll be bringing the whole family. So the whole first time all four of us have been to a game of footy. So don't let us down, boys. Come on, boys.
We're hoping the Warriors actually score some points this time round for Tommy, because she's never seen the Warriors score points. She has been to a game, never seen them score points.
Oh man, I'll never forget it. Father's Day 2021 against the Titans. 44-0, and I remember at the end of the game, Dommy, bless her cotton socks, was like, "Daddy, why are the Warriors still on 0?" I was like, "Oh, because we suck."
Yes.
How you been, mate? Anyway, you been busy with work as usual?
Yeah. Work's taking up a fair chunk of my time at the moment. Had a rare night out on the weekend, went out for dinner Saturday night, into the entertainment quarter in Sydney, if anyone knows where that is, in and around the SCG, celebrating Jess's birthday, Danny's youngest daughter, so happy birthday to Jess. So that was good. Aside from that, mate, just working and like you, trying to catch a little bit of the Olympics. I've always been a massive track and fields fan, and especially, for those that know me know that I did track athletics back in another lifetime, back when I was a young'un. So I've always had a love for that sport, love watching that. But, gee, it's hard to catch anything at the times that it's on. Works out for me. I can catch stuff on my phone because I'm awake at 1 o'clock through to 5 o'clock when the finals are on. But yeah, for normal, everyday Aussies out there who have to get up for work, it's very hard to get into. Yeah, you kind of catch the highlights later on. Yeah. But Aussies have been going well, mate. They've won 18 gold medals, I think now. So they've broken a gold medal record. There's a couple of things coming out of that. The last time the Aussies broke a record for golds at the Olympics, the Bulldogs won the comp. The last time the Aussies won the team pursuit in cycling, the Bulldogs won the comp. And if you go back to
any year with 4 in it, it's a year with 4 in it, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the Bulldogs' magic number, isn't it? The 4s.
Yep. Was it? They lost 84. They won 94. They won 84. They lost 94. They won 2004,
lost 2014.
Here we are.
Did you win this year? Yeah.
So, it's been a pretty decent week, mate. I think we're just going to get into it and have a bit of a chat tonight. We're going to review the game, and we're going to spend most of the night talking about the announcement that came this week with Shaun Johnson retiring. Before we get into that, though, I just invite you, if you haven't already done so, to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and the Facebook page, and give us a follow on our Instagram. The direct links to each of those can be found on our link tree. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters and subscribers on all our social media platforms, in particular our generous Patreon subscribers whose donations and support enables us to continue to bring you the content and the guests you will enjoy so much. It's just a reminder to everyone that has tuned in tonight. The reason we do the show live is to get the involvement of all of you guys watching. So please, as we move through the discussion points, join the conversation, leave your comments, but please keep your comments respectful and refrain from making them personal or derogatory. I can hear a train in the background, mate. Is that television?
Oh, that's Cody watching his. Sorry, that's Cody watching his TV. Sorry if that's a little bit loud. It's all of a sudden got a bit loud. Yeah.
Mate, yeah, should we get into quickly chat about last week's game against the Eels? Another sold-out game at Mount Smart Stadium or Go Media Stadium. Not the result. What did you?
Sorry, I'll go and turn the volume down. You keep talking about that game.
I will, mate. Yeah, not the result that us Warriors fans wanted or expected, really. A 30-20 win by the Eels over the Warriors. Yeah, it's hard to sum that one up. Very disappointing after a really good start. Robbie's back now, and I'll bring him into this conversation. I was just saying how it was a disappointing result considering the start that we had. It was one of those usual starts where we had all the possession, but we're unable to convert it into points. And it's something that's been a feature of this season for the Warriors, isn't it?
The whole year, ever since round one, this has been plaguing us. And yeah, we got some good early possession and, good field position, but we just did nothing with it. We really did nothing with it. We just predictable, sort of hitting the lead runner constantly, trying to get a barge over. And you just got that sinking feeling. It's like we've all seen this movie before.
Yep.
And I was just thinking, I didn't even dare verbalize or type this into the chat that we usually have, but I'm like, you watch the Eels go up the other end and score right away. Their first opportunity. Yeah, and that's literally what happened. Yep.
Yeah. We also picked that because it's always the way that Kiwis returning home or former Warriors playing against the Warriors always have a great game. I actually picked that Dejan Arce had probably played well against the Warriors this week. Last week, and of course he did. He got himself a nice meat pie as well.
Untouched. It was ridiculous, that try, wasn't it? Like a short ball and he just like strolled over. But his mum was happy, so congrats, Tarns, shout out. But we knew he was paying $1 to have a big game, and he certainly did. His kicking game was on point as well. So it's been happening for 30 odd years.
It's one of those things, though, isn't it, mate? It's very hard to continually jump on here week after week and try to be positive and upbeat about what's happened this season. It's been a massive fall from grace after last season, but it's really not unexpected in terms of Warriors years after a successful year. We find it very hard to string successful seasons together, and you can go back in through Warriors history. Those of us that are diehard fans and have these memories etched into our head, it's like the 04 season after the 02-03 season. So it's the 2012 season after the 2011 grand final. It's the 2019 season after we made the finals in 2018. And this is just another one of those seasons, isn't it? A fall from grace after a very successful season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The most successful years we put together is under Daniel Anderson. So 2001 to 2003, and then we just fell away in a big way in 2004. And then he was gone.
Yep.
Like, he was literally gone that season. And then, Cleary kind of rebuilt the club a little bit in a relatively short period of time. So if you look at the Cleary years from 06 to 11, he only missed the finals twice. So you could kind of say that Cleary had sort of built some sustained success there, but there was never like a year where we were just constantly in the finals. Like we had that fall away in 2009 after the Sunny Fi tragedy. But yeah, I mean, it's par for the course. If you're a Warriors fan, I'm actually shocked if you're shocked, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and Jacko makes a great point. I remember after 2011, I was at that 2011 grand final where the Warriors were in all three grades. Probably never really expected to win the first grade grand final. Manly were just a dominant side.
They were the best side all year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were lucky to get in there.
Yeah, after that 40-point loss or whatever it was to the Broncos in week one of the finals, we really didn't deserve to kind of be there. But it was just the makeup of that, how that McIntyre system all worked. And
yeah,
we got that amazing surprise come from behind win against the Tigers. I was at that game. And then we played Melbourne in Melbourne, and it was that bit of sublime Shaun Johnson magic at the end there, which we'll talk about Shaun a little bit more as the night goes on. And then we made the grand final, but having all three grades in the grand final, it was a Kyle Felt missed goal that got the Warriors a 2-point win in the 20s. Michael Lett scored for the Bulldogs at the final minute to steal that reserve grade game from the Vulcans. But we all thought that the Warriors were going to go on some sort of dynasty after that, and it just fell away to
then came
nothing.
Bluey McLennan. And we were. I actually sent you boys a memory from the back end of 2011 where I was like literally celebrating that we finally gotten Bluey McLennan as our coach from back in end of 2011. Yeah, he got appointed as coach, and he is apparently the only appointed first grade coach to not even survive his first full season. So that was the extent of our fall away.
He was gone for the final two games, wasn't he? Because that's Tony Ito.
Tony Ito
coached those last two games of the Warriors. But yeah, it's getting back to the game last Friday night. It's disappointing, isn't it? Because the home fans have turned Go Media Stadium into a real spectacle of a place to come and play footy. Sold out crowds every game. The Bulldogs game in a couple of weeks is sold out again. So the Warriors become the first club in NRL history to sell out every game of a season, every home game of a season, which is just amazing. And you'd think that kind of atmosphere would create some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Just a place where teams would hate to come and play, but
I don't know. Seems to be the opposite.
It does, doesn't it?
Only 4 wins. Only 4 wins at Mount Smart. We got home wins at Christchurch and Suncorp, but only the 4 wins at Mount Smart, and a draw. 4 wins and a draw. So it's a weird one. Like you make it too attractive, and everyone wants to go there and play. It's kind of like the Suncorp Stadium thing. I think a lot of teams don't fear going there anymore because it's such a great place to play footy. I don't know. But yeah, like you got to turn that place into a fortress, and we just haven't done that. So.
No, it's kind of disappointing, really. But yeah, again, there's not too much we can say about this game. As I said, it's just the same old idiosyncrasies in our game that are creeping in, where we have such great possession and field position to start off with. Our sets look really good. We're making meters upfield. We were winning the possession game and the field position game, I should say. Starting our sets, 20 and 30 meters off our line, making the Eels come off their line. But we couldn't convert any of that into points. And then, it's just it's almost like we don't know what to do after that, where our game plan seemed to evolve from last year's game plan. It's become it's a very frustrating season.
It's so hard to watch. Yeah.
And our last 4 games of the year are not going to be easy ones. All 4 of these teams that we play up and around the 8, Dolphins, Manly, Bulldogs, Sharks, before we finish the season with a bye. And it's the bye, the 2 points from the bye, which is the only reason that everyone hasn't written us off that we can't make the 8, because we've still got that 2 points in our back pocket. So there's a mathematical chance.
Doesn't mean anything if you can't actually win the games. Honestly,
that true?
Against Parramatta, the second, I know that on paper they were a good side, but they were running 15th. They'd been conceding. They hadn't won in 12 weeks, was it?
Yep.
They were conceding almost 30 points a game, and we made them look like a top 4 side.
Yeah. Wonder if Sean Lane enjoyed being back in New Zealand.
He loves the joint, doesn't he? Had nothing but good things to say about it. To bloody
Yeah.
him and Denon Kemp together talking about New Zealand. That's something that I think the tourism board should embrace and put out there.
Denon Kemp's a fair weather fan, though, mate, because when the
Oh,
Warriors played good
absolutely.
last year, wasn't he?
All over it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Mate, always hard to give 3-2-1s in a losing side. Did you come up with any 3-2-1 recipients from last week's game?
Yeah, mate, there's a couple of standout performers. I thought Chance was excellent at the back, high work rate. Yeah, fairly safe. Got a try at the back end. He got my 3 points. 2 to Mitch Barnett, ever reliable. You probably don't even need to watch the games these days to know that Mitch Barnett is going to be up there as one of your best players. And yeah, 1 point went to Murata Niokore. I thought he had a decent game against his old side, but again, it was hard to get that 1 point because I mean there was sort of other than that, it was a pretty level playing field.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Yourself?
Mate, I went the same for my 3 points. I thought Chance was probably a standout in a beaten side for us. I gave him my 3 points. I gave 2 points again. Mitch Barnett, like you said, it's just a foregone conclusion that he's going to poll points in a game this season for the Warriors. I gave 1 point to Jazz Tavanga. I thought Jazz came out, had a really good game. 2 stints in that game, made some great meters, played good in the middle. Kind of really, in his second last game, I guess, as a Warrior at Mount Smart Stadium, came out and put in a good performance. So he was my 1 point, which means the 4 points that Mitch Barnett polled in our Dean Bell medal puts him only 2 points behind Adam Fanua-Blake. So it's as I said last week, it's a race of 2 with these remaining couple of games. Adam's sitting there on 46 points and Mitch Barnett on 44. Roger, a distant third in the player of the season points is 17. So, sorry, Chance with 19.
I was going to say Chance. Yeah, it'd have to be Chance for sure.
Yeah, and Roger with 17. So, yeah, just quickly on talking about Chance, and I know we had this conversation last week, but Roger's coming back to the club this year, come under a lot of scrutiny. We've seen him play wing, we've seen him play centre, and we've seen him play fullback. And I've said out and out that his best position is fullback, and that's where he should be playing. Although Chance comes out and has a game at fullback last week, where he's probably our best player on the field. I still think Roger should be at fullback. I know this week they've named him in the centres again, which I don't think he gets enough ball in the centres. I don't think he gets enough.
Wasted.
Yeah, he's wasted on an edge. And I find the same when he's on the wing, whereas at fullback he can chime in and it's more so his defence as well. Defensively, he's very good at fullback. What's your thoughts on that whole Chance Roger scenario? Because I know you've got another.
Another element in the equation.
Another element in the equation with Taine Tuapiki.
Yeah, look, I just want Taine Tuapiki in that side somewhere. Like, I think he would be a great 14. I actually, and this may be a discussion for another time, but I think with with the loss of SJ for next season, I think he could be repurposed into a 5'8". Like, he's probably not ready to be chucked in there right now, but have a full off season. Maybe get Shaun to work with him in the off season to work on his kicking game, passing game. But he's got all the attributes. He's pretty silky. He looks great in New South Wales Cup, but a lot of players do. But but in his limited games in first grade, he's been fantastic. He adds. He's an extra sort of threat and attack. We always say speed, and without out and out breaking the line, he always threatens to do it. He did it a fair bit in that game against the Panthers at Magic Round. I want him in the side somewhere, even at a 14. But I could handle him at fullback, Roger on the wing, and Chance at centre. Like, that's another combination I think we can try. I mean, we're struggling to score points, so why not inject someone in there that has a little bit more classy ball playing abilities? I mean, Chance and RTS are kind of the same in the sense that their game is more of a power game. Like, they're all about meters. They're safe at the back and that kind of thing, but not a huge amount of playmaking attributes there. I mean, they can chime in when they wanted to. We saw Chan sort of came into that a little bit at the back end of last year. But, but I think if you've got Tane in there, just an extra threat in attack. But, yeah, I don't know. You've got 3 really good fullbacks in the team. We come on the Broncos. Remember the Broncos had about 5 fullbacks in their back line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like the New South Wales team of the past couple of seasons where they had quality fullbacks in the thing. It's again,
like Naz is saying, like a for Tuapiki, like a Farlongo type player.
Yeah,
you know, he can come in and.
What a lot of people have to remember too is Melbourne converted Cooper Cronk into a halfback with a lack of a quality half coming through their system. Cooper Cronk was a centre. Growing up playing up in that Queensland
he's a sort of a misfit, wasn't he?
Yeah. And Craig Bellamy got Matthew Johns to work with him and kind of is what they call a manufactured halfback and became one of the best halfbacks that we've seen.
Jerome Hughes as well, wasn't he? Fullback to start with.
He was a fullback. Yeah, absolutely.
So what you're saying is we need Bellamy as coach. Okay.
Something like that. And Jacko says the same thing. CNK looked great at 5'8" against the Panthers. So why not try it there in a couple of games? I agree. I think it's very hard for a coach to say that the season is gone when they've still got games to play. But, and so Webby will never come out and say our season is over. But it's now's the time to start, trying some of these things. We had this conversation during the week talking about, and again, as I said, we're going to talk about Shaun's retirement announcement, but looking ahead, because we haven't signed a halfback now to take over from Shaun. We kind of put all our eggs in the basket that Shaun may play on, and he's not. I know we've got Tamati Martin, I know we've got Chanel, and I know we've got Luke Metcalf, for whatever reason there is, the combinations just haven't worked this year. So, in these last couple of games, he's had an opportunity for a guy like Luke Hanson or Ben Farr to come into the first grade squad and play a little bit of first grade and see how they go. Because, as you've said, and we've seen it so many times, some guys that play really good in the lower grades just don't cut it in first grade. And there's some guys out there that are just always going to be reserve grade footy players, and that's fine. There's some guys that thrive when they to get a performance up in first grade. So, does he bring some of those guys in? Do we play Tane at 6 and see how he looks? Or do we move Chance to 6 and play, Tane at 1 or whatever? Just something a little bit different, because what we're doing so far this season just hasn't worked. Picking really the same. Hasn't. I mean, the only time we've picked players in different positions is injury cover. We haven't really tried anything. If everyone's fit, it's kind of the same 17 that kind of runs out every week.
The changes are only being made for injury. Like you say, like they'll bring in. So if we lose a winger, they bring in Ed Cossie, or they'll, centre, they'll bring in Myla Graham Taufer and that sort of thing. But these guys only really seem to come in when there's injuries. And after that absolute shellacking we copped against the Titans, the only changes that Webby made were for injuries. And I know we beat the Broncos, but we always should have won that game anyway. It's just way too conservative with these team lists.
Yeah, Jacko's saying hearing Webster this week, I think Metcalf will be back for Manly game. Yeah, we kind of. I thought, I thought he might have got picked this week, but then hearing and reading all the articles about it, he only got 40 minutes last week. They want to play him 80 this week and see you can get through an 80-minute game. He has had some injuries, Luke Metcalf. I think if people think back to when he signed at the club, he spent the first part of last season out because of injury.
Came 10 weeks. Out for ages. Yeah, hamstring.
Came in, played some games, finished the season with an injury, started the season this year, then got the injury. So he does have a little bit of suspect around his hamstrings or his legs, as it is with all these fast guys. But he's one with pure speed, out and out pure speed. So be a great inclusion when he does come back in. Mate, we had a conversation last week. We kind of theorised, and not to say that we picked it, but we kind of picked it, that we asked the question, were we looking at seeing Shaun Johnson's farewell tour, I made the suggestion a couple of weeks ago that if Shaun was going to play on next year, that we probably wouldn't see him play again this year, just to get his body right and his injuries right. The fact that he came back last week, I actually said that I think this is him having the opportunity to say goodbye to the fans and play go out on his own terms. He announced his retirement this week, which was really no shock because that signing announcement or retiring announcement has kind of dragged on all week. Been a great competitor for the game, been a great ambassador for our club. Was probably never the halfback that we like, the game controlling halfback that we needed in those seasons post 2011. But G provided us with some great milestone and highlight reel moments, didn't he? It was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, for sure. There was no one better. There's no one better to watch on YouTube, is there, than some of SJ's highlights and some of his match-winning tries and but I'll just go back to the last Friday night. Now, this is something that you mentioned, and I noticed it as well. When he ran out in the field, he was kind of like looking around and smiling, and it felt like he was sort of soaking in the moment, everything, savoring it. It was much like how he looked when he came back to the homecoming game.
Yeah.
You said that, and I'm like, it does kind of have that feel about it. And then he said in his podcast during the week that that's exactly what he was doing. So but just going back to like his early days, so his period, he came in midway through 2011, and we'd heard a lot about this guy being in the under 20s. And I think I first saw him back in 2009. The first time I remember watching him play was in one of those Toyota Cup games against the Sharks, and he was wearing his headgear. And he was so quick, and he's sidestepping everything. He carved up the Sharks that day. Oh, man, this kid's good. And then seeing him again in the 2010 under 20s grand final where we won it, and that team was amazing. That was an unreal team, and he led the way there. And like, this guy can't be too far away from first grade. And then in 2011, I think we had an injury to Brett Seymour or someone who was playing in the halves that year, and he got the call up and. Made his first grade debut for the club in 2011 against the Roosters. Had a try assist, set up our only try that day, and I guess you could say from that point on, the rest was history. Because I was just going back through all the moments of Shaun Johnson from that era and stuff that I was lucky enough to witness, and I was there the following week. So I think it was his second first grade game was against the Tigers at Mount Smart Stadium. I was over there with my good mate Brad, Tigers fan. We were over there for our 30th birthdays, and he actually scored his first try in first grade that game, where he absolutely burnt. I can't remember who was playing fullback for the Tigers, probably Tim Moulton or someone like that, but broke the line and put a bit of a goose step on him and scored his first try in first grade. And I remember the commentator saying, "This kid has arrived." They said Shaun Johnson has arrived in first grade. And he looked $1 million up until the Tigers mounted a massive comeback, and he missed about 5 or 6 tackles, and Ivan Cleary actually hooked him at the back end of that game. So that was that must have been a sort of whirlwind introduction to first grade for him.
Yeah.
But, 2011, mate, he was absolutely outstanding the back end of that year, instrumental to our run into the
grand finals.
I was lucky enough to be there at Suncorp Stadium for that game against the Broncos, where he scored that unreal try, where he absolutely beat like the whole team. Virtually scored. It was like about a 60-meter try. One of the best tries I've ever seen live. Probably the best try I've ever seen live, to be honest. That was an amazing moment. And then I realized it's funny, like thinking back about his career, I realized that either you or I were actually there live for a lot of these moments. I was there for his first finals game, that 40-point hammering that we got against the Broncos, but nevertheless, I was there for his first finals game.
I was there for his second. When he played the Tigers the week after. I was there for his grand final, the 2011 grand final. Mate, one of the ones that sticks out for me was that, I know you'll know the year, was the Cronulla game, where Ryan Hoffman got the charge down. I was at Shark Park that day when he where he iced that game. I was at Canberra in 2018 where he kicked the 2 field goals.
2 field goals, yeah.
To get us home in that game. But yeah, he's excuse me. He's it's been great to see on social media all week all the highlight reel stuff that's been people have been sharing about Shaun Johnson. It's it's always hard to say goodbye to a star of the club.
Yeah.
For us Warriors fans, though, it's probably a little bit easier because we've already said goodbye to him once before, and it was under, those circumstances where he left at the end of 2018 to go to Cronulla for that 2019 season. And then he came home, and I can just remember the emotion of when he re-signed with the club.
Yes. Wasn't that a shock that day when that email just came through out of the blue?
Yeah.
I thought it was a G-up. I legitimately thought it was April 1st. Yep. And they had a picture. It just came through, Johnson re-signs with the Warriors. And I was like, no way. And that was just such a surreal, but it felt right. It really did feel right when he came back to the club. Just going back to his departure. I mean, that was another shock as well. And then at the end of 2018, we just had our best season in years. Although we did play a finals game against Penrith, and we had a bit of injury trouble in that game. Roger went down, and
I was at that game.
You're at that game as well. we were at all the moments. And I think it's fair to say, and Shaun will admit this himself, he did not have his best game for the back end there, where we really needed a bit of spark. And I don't know whether it probably did have something to do with the conversations that went on between him and the club and that sort of thing. And his departure. So look, it's one of those things where we've heard different sides of the story, and we'll never know exactly what happened unless we're Shaun and his management and the club and that sort of thing. So there's one side, there's another side, and then the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But it was. I got to admit, I got a little bit bitter because I 100% sided with the club at the time and said, "Oh well, look, I backed the club in making this decision," and it just didn't feel right watching him play for the Sharks. And throughout his absence from the club, there was constant sort of remarks and little shots and little digs and that sort of thing on social media and that sort of thing. And he wouldn't be doing that if he didn't still care about the club.
Correct.
And he didn't want to be there. And I think you read a game in 2020 where there was a lot of animosity between him and Petahiku and a few other guys. And Central Coast Stadium.
Yep.
And I'm just like, he wouldn't be doing this stuff if he didn't care. Otherwise he would have said, stuff that, I'll just move on. But you just got the feeling that, and for me, and I'll just go on another little tangent, everyone knows I'm a massive Miami Heat fan, and Dwayne Wade has been the heart and soul of the Miami Heat for pretty much his whole career. And he had a moment like that as well, where he got a lowball offer from the club, and he ended up leaving, and everyone was completely shocked that he left. And then, sure enough, about 18 months later, he got traded back to Miami, and it was like the best feeling ever, because it's just you just felt like he's just meant to be back in the team. And I remember saying at the time to I think it was to Will Evans from TWL, because you know how much he loves SJ. I was saying, I think I actually wrote a blog article. So I was doing my blogs back in 2020 during COVID, my Warrior Roo blogs, and I did one about him. And I sort of confessed to, the bitterness and animosity that came out of me when he left the club was only because I really cared about the bloke as well. And that's why I was like, I want him to fail at Cronulla and all this sort of thing. You get that kind of those feelings. But it's only because I care about him as well. And I was just like, I said to Will, I just get the feeling he's going to be back. It won't be done. He'll come back to the club. It might be right at the end of his career. But I just have this strong feeling that he'll end up back at the Warriors because that's where he belongs. And then when he signed, everything just felt right. And when the first time he pulled the jersey back on again, you could just see the smile over his face. And
I remember the iconic photo because we're going through COVID at that point. And the Warriors at the end of the 2020 season, I think it was it 21 he came back to us or 22?
22. He signed
22.
back in 21. He's
21.
played.
That's right. Or at the end of 2021, where the Warriors were still here in Australia, going through, getting ready for their preseason, there was that iconic photo of him and Stacey Jones on a private jet coming back to Australia.
The SJs.
Yeah, the SJs together. And there's got to be the conversation now. I mean, we all have our opinions on our greatest Warriors 17, and we've made no. I think when we first started this podcast a couple of years ago, we named our greatest ever 17 in our opinion.
Yeah.
But I think SJ has now, because he wasn't in mine. I had Stacey Jones and James Maloney. But I think now I would have Johnson and Jones as my halves in my.
Got to have the SJs. Yeah. I mean, if for nothing else, on the strength of last season, I mean, just an unbelievable run, and I still get sort of goosebumps thinking about when he came off at the end of that, towards the end of that Knights game, and he sort of did a lap of honor, and the way he was just soaking it in and everything, it was just amazing. It was like how Brent Tate described to us the blackout night. He said, I've got goosebumps thinking about it now, and I'm sure SJ would be the same with that moment. And then a week later, I was lucky enough to be there for that. Lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, against that preliminary final against the Broncos. And even despite the fact we got hammered in that game, he still came over and he got such a reception from all the Warriors supporters that were there. And even then, you could see that he was just taking it in, and he was almost quite emotional about that as well. It's just been it's really hard to sort of summarize his career, and it's been in two parts at the Warriors, and I think you and I have spoke about this a lot, but I think he actually did have to leave to come back as a more complete player, and to sort of realize how much he did miss the club and miss the players and the place and that kind of thing. Like, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think for all of us, for him and for the players, he obviously just was so happy to be back in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which probably brings us to our next point. And I alluded to this in our sort of blurb that we wrote up about Shaun during the week. But we were at Moreton Daly Stadium at Redcliffe for the Warriors' final home game that they played there against the Panthers. Mm-hmm. And we were lucky enough to be invited into the dressing sheds afterwards.
Correct.
And we had a bit of a chat with Shaun there, and it was such a candid, refreshing moment, because, like, we both said, I don't think we'd ever seen a more depressed and dejected and vulnerable kind of player after the game. He was just like, to a couple of guys that he doesn't really know. I mean, like, he's probably seen us around the traps hanging around, like, a lot of them have. Like, I know those guys from somewhere, but like, we just sort of said to him, like, how does it feel, finishing up your time at sort of Redcliffe, you're heading back home, and he was just like, he more or less just said, I just want to go home.
Yep.
He just said it's just been such a tough year. And you can see the emotion was written all over his face. I don't think we've ever spoken to a player that's been that sort of, as you said, vulnerable with us.
No. Yeah. It was, as you said, it was an eye-opening moment. And it's funny because everyone's got these memories of Shaun Johnson on the field. But as we were saying, we were talking about this yesterday, and we both said that it's probably one of the most poignant memories that we'll hold of Shaun, because he didn't have to talk to us that day. They'd just been smashed by the Panthers at Redcliffe. It was their last game up there before they were heading home for the 4 return games in New Zealand, the homecoming games. Yeah. They'd spent time away from home. Even though they're going back for those homecoming games, they're still going to be living in Australia until the end of the year. And he hadn't gone through all of COVID like most of those Warriors players had, or a lot of those Warriors players had. But yeah, he was very candid and very open in the way that he spoke to us. And it was kind of, we even said at the time, it was kind of like a chalk and cheese thing, because here's Shaun, this, veteran of the game, talking about how important family is, and doesn't really look at social media anymore because he's sick and tired of all the the knob jockeys out there, the trolls,
comments.
Comments and that. And you had a guy like that who was really reflective about what was going on at the Warriors at the time, and then kind of standing 3 feet away from him was fucking Reece Walsh, who was carrying on like a fucking pork chop.
Oh yeah, he was.
At the time, we didn't know he wasn't going to re-sign or he wasn't going to stay at the Warriors, and we kind of asked him where he was going to be living in New Zealand, and didn't he say?
He said, he goes,
Bay?
I'm moving to Deception Bay. And I said, mate, I think you mean Mission Bay. Deception Bay is just up the road from bloody Redcliffe. He goes, boys, where is it I'm going to? No, Mission Bay. Yeah. And then literally a week later, it was announced that he's leaving the club to go to the Broncos.
And
I'll never forget that. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Use are the ones with the Instagram page.
Yeah, that's us, mate. Yeah. You idiot.
And then, but it's so true. It showed the different, it showed what the club means to different players. I'm not saying that it didn't mean anything to Reece Walsh, but these two guys at opposite ends of their careers, and it really was chalk and cheese, the reaction. I mean, we just been having, and it was double whammy. I just remember Shaun going, it's just so hard. He said, I just miss my family, and I just want to be back with my family. And and then hence the reaction when he was walking back onto Mount Smart Stadium. And we can't underestimate how big that moment was for a lot of those guys, but all of them, but particularly him. Coming back to the club, and look, isn't it interesting that the whole time he played at the Sharks, and COVID probably helped in that, but he didn't play at Mount Smart Stadium. And I'm so happy that he never did. I really am. We played against him at Wellington, and we won that night by a Blake Green field goal. But there was just something about it. He probably didn't have the success that he wanted at the Sharks either. I mean, they probably underachieved when he was there as well. Yep. And I don't know, there's probably down to a lot of things. He got there in 2019, then COVID hit, and he was homesick. And
do you think
he didn't want to play at the Sharks? Come on.
do you think Shaun's career, and possibly the Warriors themselves, but talking about Shaun here, do you think Shaun's career could have been different and better if he had had a constant coach in his early years? Because he did go through four or five coaches in his first 4 or 5 seasons at the Warriors, learning new systems, learning new processes. Each coach probably had a different idea of how they wanted him to play, and it's only
different PowerPoint presentations that they would have given him.
It's only now that he's got under Webby where he's kind of had a little bit more direction as to how he should be playing. Look at his first season under Webby. He came at one point agonisingly short of winning the Dally M medal, and Shaun had never been up in that echelon of players in the NRL. He'd never been close to or in the argument of Dally M. It kind of just makes you wonder if he had because him and Daly Cherry Evans started at the same time. Cherry Evans now playing 320 games. Shaun's going to finish his career, if he finishes these next 4 games, with 270 career games. He's 50-odd games short. He's had some injuries in his time, but for the most part, Cherry Evans had, 1 or 2 coaches just guiding him through his career. You have look at a guy like Cooper Cronk, he had Craig Bellamy for his whole career. It kind of the focus. It kind of makes a difference. I think that Shaun didn't have that one coach to kind of guide him through, and he could, develop his game a lot better.
I remember when we had the pleasure of chatting with Ivan, and it was actually one of the fan questions someone sent in saying, do you regret that you didn't have more time with Shaun Johnson? And straight away, I remember his reaction. He said, absolutely. He said he would love to have coached him more. And Ivan was really good with the way that he brought him into first grade as well. Didn't just rush him in there. I think he gave him a couple of games and then rested him for a bit and then brought him in. But when it became apparent that this kid was an absolute superstar, he gave him a free rein. And at the end of 2011, if we had to
We had the Kiwi
and then that just didn't work. We had the Kiwi spine, and for whatever reason, that was one of our worst ever seasons. So go figure. And then 2018 happened, and then it looks like we'd finally gotten the balance right. He was putting on try assists left, right, and centre for David Fusatua in the corner. One of his best seasons, and then he was gone. So it's a real puzzling one, isn't it? The 2011 to 2018 seasons. I mean, we made the finals twice in his first and last years at the club at that time. So he's been a great, as I said, he's been a great ambassador for our club. He's played, when he finished his career, he's played 266 NRL games so far. So he'll finish with 270 if he does play these next 4 games without getting an injury. 222 of those for the Warriors. He scored 78 tries, kicked 434 goals from 571 attempts at 76% for the Warriors. He's been an absolute champion player for both the NRL and the club, and he's always given us. He's always been great with his time for the fans. He's always been, but he's always two nufties that are always looking to have a chat and a photo. He's always been great, to giving his time to us, and he has been.
We wish him nothing but success in these last 4 games. I hope the Warriors can really go on a bit of a run here.
Come on, boys, rally together. Do it for SJ.
Send him out the way he deserves to be sent out. But if not, and his season ends in a couple of weeks, I just really hope, if we don't win another game for the rest of the year, if we can only win one more, I hope it's the Bulldogs game at home, where he can go out a winner at Mount Smart Stadium, where he's had so many great memories over his career.
Absolutely. He can do a proper lap of honour. Yeah, we can get Josh Curran to carry him around the stadium on his shoulders.
Why not?
That'd be amazing. Can we get 2 wins? Can we beat the Sharks in the final round as well?
Well, I said it to you. I don't know if I said it last week on the show, but I said it 2 weeks ago when we were chatting about SJ and how I had this theory that he was going to retire, and I said in his last game on the field will actually be at Shark Park against the Sharks, which would be quite fitting considering that's the only other team he's played for. It'll give him an opportunity to say goodbye to the Warriors home fans 1 week, and then finish up at Shark Park against the Shark home fans the following week. Mate, I'd love to go to that game, but I have announced my retirement from going and watching Warriors games this year.
Hey, you're not going to cost us anything now, so you may as well go.
I can't. That's Danny's
Oh, you
birthday,
can't.
so we
Ah,
won't. She even said
okay.
last night, "Oh, we can go to the Warriors game." I said, "No,
No, it's your
I don't know.
birthday. Yeah.
Things may change over the next 4 weeks, though, mate. We'll see. Watch your space. But I just hope he plays some decent footy and really makes the most of these last couple of games. And I think you'll see a different Shaun Johnson come out. He'll just throw caution to the wind now.
Wind the clock back, Shaun.
Yeah, the weight's off his shoulders. Hope he goes out there and just kills it over the next couple of weeks. Coaching next for Shaun? I don't know. Not everyone's cut out to be a coach.
He said he still wants to be involved in the game. I think he wants to sort of get back to the sort of grassroots, younger, the junior grade stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, he seems to enjoy doing this podcasting thing. He'll be in the media for sure. Get him on Sky Sports. Maybe he'll be the next Graham Hughes or the next Costo. Put him on.
Yeah, I think the club will use him, especially if they've got a guy like
mentoring role.
Jet Cleary on the books for next year and beyond. I'm sure he'll be involved in the development of Jet, Luke Hanson, and the other young halves coming through in our pathways programs now.
He won't be lost to the club. I'm sure of it. Like they'll utilize. Like you got a guy there. He's a club legend. 270 odd games of experience. So you want to use these kind of guys, and he's not like a Simon Mannering that you feel just wants to retire to the quiet life. Yeah, he'll be someone that will. Yeah, he's already said he wants to give back to rugby league because it's given him so much, and and he's got it all going for him. He's got a head for TV, unlike us two.
Yeah,
and,
true.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll see him in Sky Sports or whatever. Right, maybe you'll see him on Ruin Hammer one day. Who knows? Hopefully. He has said one day. He said one day, but we don't care when that day is.
No.
So, Shaun, if you ever see this, open invitation.
Yeah, and Shaun, if you do ever see this, thank you for your time at the Warriors, mate.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed watching every single minute of it.
Forever and always, Warrior 168. And
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're both repping
our Shaun Johnson stuff tonight.
Yeah.
Mate, should we take a look at the other games that happened in round 22?
Yeah, let's run through that quickly. So on the Thursday night last week, we had the Cowboys 48 over the Tigers 30 in a defensive tussle at Leichhardt Oval. I think funnily enough, the Tigers actually looked better after Justin Olam was sent off.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's still, you score 30 points in a game of footy, you shouldn't be losing it, should you?
Yeah, it wasn't the highest quality game of footy. Cowboys did enough to win, so I think they'll manage to secure themselves a final spot.
Yep.
We shall not be revisiting our loss to the Eels, which was the first game on Friday. Second game, another defensive tussle over in Perth. And wasn't there a parochial crowd over there saying we need a team? And they couldn't have done anything more to send a stronger message to the NRL that they want a team over there. It was the Roosters 40 over the Dolphins 34.
Again, score 30-something points in a game that shouldn't be beat. I didn't actually get to watch any of this because work commitments, I'm sound asleep. Caught the result, but not surprising. Was probably more surprised that the Dolphins actually scored 34 points. But they're one of those teams that are on the precipice now. They really need to win some games and to make the 8.
Yeah, for sure. You have to think with their run home might be a little bit of a bridge too far, but we'll see how they go this weekend. Who knows? First game of Super Saturday. This was a bit of a blockbuster. I was really looking forward to this one, and I must say I really enjoyed this game. It was the Titans 46 over the Broncos 18. The Broncos obviously didn't know what to do themselves when it wasn't at Suncorp Stadium on a Friday night. At the Broncos came out hot, 2 quick tries to Reece Walsh, and he was doing a bit of "this is my house" kind of stuff. And then before the end of the game, he was yelling at his own players.
Yes.
So when the Titans piled on the points, 46-18, the Titans, they're actually a team to get behind this year. What a performance, 46-18, and they're building nicely.
You always love an underdog. The
Yep.
Titans have
Especially when they beat the Broncos.
exactly. But earlier in the year, I was hoping the Titans wouldn't win games because I didn't want them to jump the Warriors on the ladder. Now that we can't make it, I'm jumping onto the Titans. I'm hoping that the Titans can get there. Great win by them. I will say, for all the shit that people put on Reece Walsh, I will say after that loss, the vision did show he was the only Bronco that stayed out there and went around the ground and hand slapped all the kids and signed autographs, gave away his boots when all the other Broncos were kind of in having a cry in the dressing room. So
he yelled at them too much.
That's maybe it. Yeah, that's maybe it. And Hasler's mongrel starting to show. Yeah, Desi the mad scientist. His concoctions are starting to work.
You've come up with a formula to get us into the finals.
Yep.
Okay, we'll keep it up, Desi. It was good viewing, and they got a blockbuster game this Friday against the Sharks back at Seabus Shipper Stadium. So we'll get to that in a minute. But what about this? Good. This has to be the upset of the round. Amy Park, the Dragons 18 over the Storm 16. Brad was loving this.
Because he's a massive Dragons fan. It's probably surprising, but not surprising, because all season the Storm have been winning games that you kind of thought that they may not get the win in because they've had injuries and personnel changes in their lineup and what have you. And the Dragons, I said at the beginning of the year, Shane Flanagan would have them playing a gritty style of footy this year, hard-nosed. Yeah. And they're a chance now of sneaking into that bottom part of the 8.
They deserve it. I reckon they deserve it.
Yeah. Melbourne, they probably needed a loss because they've been going on that winning ways for a while. They probably needed a loss to reset themselves and then go for a push now till the end of the season. So
it's very hard to go through without having a little bit of a hiccup. So that might be exactly what they needed.
Yeah, great win by the Dragons though.
Yeah, very good win. They'll look back on that one as one of their best. The final game on Super Saturday, fairly ordinary game of footy. Sharks 20 over the Rabbitohs 6. I mean, a result that you probably would have expected. Probably puts the Rabbitohs out of business, puts them to bed for the season with us. The Sharks, pretty unconvincing, but they got the job done.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Not much
Sunday
to say.
footy. No, not too much to say about that. Sunday footy. The Panthers 22 over the Knights 14. Knights turned up for this one. They had a lot to play for as well. They're on the cusp of the 8. And again, unfortunately for them, it's probably just knocked them out of contention as well. Panthers did just enough to win. They weren't great, but they found a way to win that game.
Yeah, and that's all they need to be doing at the moment. Now that they've got Cleary back, they're kind of re-establishing themselves. They haven't had him for a while. He's kind of working his way into the team. That was his first game playing with Luai for a while too. They'll get better as the weeks go on. The Panthers, they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard not to see a Panthers Storm final at the moment, but a lot can happen in that time. And to round out round 22 was a big game. The return to Belmore, packed out. Bulldogs 22 just getting it done over the Raiders, the plucky Raiders. I mean, you can say what you like about them and their team and their coach, but they always up for the fight. But the Bulldogs a little bit too strong. Stephen Crichton had a fantastic game. And, I think the parochial, if I say that word right, parochial, the buoyant, I don't know, the buoyant home crowd got them over the line in this one.
Tell you what, it's good to see this team of Bulldogs playing well because there's some players in there that are just quality, classy people. But fuck, their fans make it hard to like them. Carried on like absolute dickheads after the game. There was that vision of that Raiders fan getting pushed and shoved and just trying to get home.
Honestly,
there's no need for any of that shit. No, I'm telling you, like the streets of Belmore closed off. It was round 21. Bulldogs fans. That's all it was. round 22. Sorry, like just carry on like fucking idiots. Which is
Yeah,
why,
calm your farm, boys. Wait
yeah,
until the grand
absolutely,
final. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, just quickly, the round two of the NRLW happened over the weekend as well. It was the Knights 26 over a plucky Raiders 20. Raiders really playing some good footy this season. The Titans continued on their winning ways. They beat the hapless Tigers 28-12. The Tigers women's team seems to be just as successful as the men. Unfortunately for them.
Come on, girls. At least someone get up.
The Sharks ran out 18-16 winners over the Eels. The Eels gave a good showing in this one. The battle of the Roosters and the Broncos. The loser of this was going to be 0-2, and that's now the Broncos. So, again, Roosters 28 over the Broncos 12. Great to see the Roosters because they've had some injuries this season to start the year. Yeah, and for all us non-Broncos fans, it's always good to see the Broncos not winning. And the final game of the NRLW was the North Queensland Cowboys 38, getting their first home game win ever, beating the Dragons 34, another high-scoring game.
Did it the hard way.
Yeah, congratulations to the Cowboys. The Dragons also 0-2 to start the season. Mate, we're moving into round 23.
Yep.
Playing the
Rounds
Dolphins.
23.
Playing the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium this week. Two things. Do you want to give us a little bit of Warriors Dolphins history? You've been at all but one of these games that the Dolphins and the Warriors have played.
I have, mate.
There's a pre-game event this week too, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. So onto that first. So pre-game event at the Lord Alfred Hotel. I believe it kicks off at about 11 a.m. Anyone who's been there knows you go straight upstairs to the balcony. I'm sure there'll be another good turnout despite how the boys are traveling. But yeah, if you can get there, if you go into the game, make sure you go Lord Alfred Hotel. It's the Warrior Nation fan event. So yeah, head upstairs, have a beer or two with your fellow fans, have a bit of a chat, and reminisce about SJ, do whatever you want to do, and then do the pilgrimage down to Suncorp Stadium. You got to do it. Walk down Caxton Street for the game. So make sure any of you guys in South East Queensland head to the Lord Alfred Hotel beforehand. Okay, we are playing the Dolphins. So the Dolphins I think it's the Lord Alfred Hotel is the official supporters base for the Dolphins. So we'll be certainly hijacking that on Sunday. But yeah, history. Well, this is a really easy one. I didn't have to look up Rugby League Project for this. So this will be our fourth game against the Dolphins. And I have actually been to all but one of the clashes. So last year we were 1-1, so we beat them 30 points to 8 at Mount Smart. And then the final round where we rested like about 75% of our side, we lost 34-10. I was at that game. We were lucky enough to be at Mount Smart Stadium for that famous win against the Dolphins early in the year, where we had dead set everyone pull out with injury, and we managed to get a win on that night. So yeah, and I'll also be there this Sunday with the whole team, and Richie Morgan's coming up. So it's going to be another good event. Always great to watch footy at Suncorp Stadium. I think the best place to watch footy in the world. But the team that Webby has named for Sunday's clash at fullback, Chance Nickel-Kluckster. On the wings, Stalin Watani-Zelezniak and Ed Cossey is back in the side. Centres, Ali Leotawa and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back in the centres. The halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Shaun Johnson. Front row, Adam Fanua-Blake, Wade Egan and Mitch Barnett. And then Murata Niokore, Kurt Capewell, and Dylan Walker is actually playing. So he must have been a Category 2 concussion, not a Category 1. Is that right? Because he's able to play for less than 11 days. So, but he's been named to play. Interchange bench, Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Jazz Tavanga, and Leka Halasima. And on the extended bench, we have Timade Martin, Dimitri Sefakula, Tentu Apiki, Mwala Graham Taufa, and Bunty Arfoa. Any surprises in that team for you?
No surprises, because it kind of follows the form that Webby's had with his team selections all year, where and this is why I say we need to kind of mix it up a little bit here. maybe bring Tane in at fullback, shift Roger to a wing, move Chance to a centre. Ed Cozzy, as much as, we love the kid, he's just not first grade standard this year. He's kind of fallen away with his performances. So I probably wouldn't have him in the run on 17.
Prove us wrong, Ed. Prove us wrong.
Yeah,
We'd love
prove
to
us
see you have a
wrong.
big game. Yep.
That forward pack basically picks itself. And again, I'd love to see a guy like Dimitri Sifikula get some game time at the expense of who, I'm not sure. Interesting last week where Webby started Freddie Lussick and then brought Wade Egan on. I don't know.
Of no consequence, to be honest.
No, not really. Kind of a wasted move, I thought. But that's why I'm sitting here and Webby's over there coaching aside. So he obviously knows better than us. I'm not second guessing what he's doing, but yeah, I don't know. I look, at the end of the day, we just need to come out and have a much better performance than what we've been putting in lately.
Look, Shaun mentioned in the podcast this week, he goes, well, this is going to be my last game at Suncorp Stadium, so I would love to see him come out on a dry, fast track and just absolutely carve up.
Yeah. I mean, he could say that every week. Like, this is going to be my last
game.
This is my last game at 4 Points. This is going to be my last game at Mount Smart. This is going to be my last game at Shark Park.
But this time play like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Savor every moment. Do something amazing.
We just got to use that as motivation for every game. It's like, do it for Shaun. This is his last game at Brookvale or Lollyland or whatever it was called, or 4 Points Park.
As much as I hate putting pressure on halfbacks, because I think they have enough pressure put on them. But look, in the game on the weekend where we had all that field position and that possession, it was our halves that kind of didn't do enough with ball in hand to get us points when we really needed them. And that's what's going to have to happen this week. We've got to turn those opportunities into points because the Dolphins are playing for their season. They can make the 8. They want to be. They want to play.
So they're going to turn up. They're not going to just roll over. Yeah, and they got lots of points in them. I mean, you look at their side and Tabuai-Fidow, Osako, Avarillo, Farnworth, Bostock. Look at that bat. Like that 3-quarter line is up there with probably the best in the competition.
Yeah, 100%.
And Cody Nicarina, of course. Cody Nicarina is going to have a massive game, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And then you got guys like the Bromwich brothers playing against the Warriors. They always come up against the New Zealand counterpart. They're always
Sean O'Sullivan.
Big games. Is he named?
He's 17. Who knows whether he'll stay in the team? But thankfully, the MILF's not in the team because he usually saves his one good game for us, doesn't he?
Yeah. I really think the Hammer's going to have a big game here. Unfortunately, he's going to be the one that we have to stop. Try scoring freak. I don't know.
I'm gonna look. I'll go first. I'll stick my neck out. For the sake of my kids, I'm gonna say that the Warriors are gonna get a very nervous 2-point victory. some Shaun Johnson brilliance is gonna bloody get us home. How bloody good is what I'll be saying on the day if it happens.
Incidentally, because we know what my record is this year. I'm 2 wins and 5 losses from going to live games. What are you this season, may I ask?
So this will be my 4th game. I'm actually 2 wins and 1 loss.
Oh, okay.
So it's only when you came up to the Gold Coast and cursed us that 66-6 game.
Yeah. Well,
look, it's always better going to the game with you, mate. Honestly, but yeah,
there was a particular fan in the crowd that said it was the fans' fault that the Warriors got beat that day.
Oh yes.
if
a certain vocal, certain fan that
yeah. Hey, Fano, it's your fault. Okay.
Yeah. You bandwagon fans that are leaving.
Yeah. I don't know. Golden point and Shaun kicks a field goal to win it. There you go.
Hey mate, how good would that be? Yeah. That'd be a third time that I would have seen him kick a golden point field goal. Because we were discussing this earlier as well. The first time that he kicked Golden Point match-winning field goal was in 2022 against the Cowboys at Redcliffe, and we saw that, and we saw him do it again a few weeks later against the Raiders. And he did it again against the Raiders last year. So it'd be good. Yeah, why not? I don't care how we win it. Just be great to come away with the win.
I don't care how we win. I just hope he has a massive game. I'm going to go out on the limb now already. I'm going to give my 3-2-1s for this week's game. I'm going to give Shaun my 3 points. You've seen it. You've heard it here first. He's
3 points.
3. Yeah, 3 points to Shaun in the 3-2-1s. We'll see.
Let's just okay. All right. Should we look at some of the other games this round?
Yeah, mate. Let's do it.
Yep. So tonight, following Ruin Hammer, of course, we have the Rabbitohs against the Storm for some reason on a Thursday night game, but that's at Accor Stadium in Sydney. You have to think the Storm bounce back here. I'm going to go to Storm 13+.
Yep, Storm 13+ for me as well.
Okay, first up Friday. I am really looking forward to watching this game. It is the Titans versus the Sharks at Chivas Super Stadium. Mate, I'm going to back the Titans to continue their giant killing ways. I think the Titans are going to win a close one here. Titans by 8.
Yeah, I agree.
Sharks.
I agree. Where are the Sharks sitting on the ladder at the moment?
4th. So Titans are 11th and Sharks are 4th.
What's the points? How many points are the Sharks on?
Hang on. I'll need to open up another window for that. But if you've got it there, yep.
So the Sharks are on 30. Yeah, I'm going to say, Titans win definitely. The reason I was looking, I was going to make a bold prediction and say that the Sharks slide out of the top 8 when they lose to us in round 26 at Shark Park.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Titans, and I think the Titans will win 13+ in this one.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Friday night, you've got the Western Sydney blockbuster, the Eels versus the Panthers. Now, lately, the Eels have really gotten up for this game, haven't they? They've won a couple of games out at Penrith, which is extremely hard to do. This one is at CommBank Stadium. I know we made them look like $1 million last week, but it won't happen again. The Panthers will be too good for them. Panthers 13+.
Yes, I think 2022 they beat Penrith twice during the season. Then lost the grand final.
Yeah.
Definitely not a Cardi party this week for the Eels, unfortunately. I think they're going to
struggle. Not like last week.
Yeah, I think the Panthers will win and will win quite comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Saturday, Super Saturday, the first game is the Raiders, who are in 10th, versus the Sea Eagles, who are in 7th spot. That is at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Raiders, dealt a blow last week, but I think they just have to keep winning. Sea Eagles, they've been a little bit up and down this year, but I think I'm going to go Sea Eagles in a close one. Sea Eagles by 7.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sea Eagles in this one too. I think Olakawato back for them is a big in. Sea Eagles definitely.
Okay, 5:30 Saturday night. Cowboys versus the Broncos up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Cowboys in 6th, the Broncos in 14th. Mate, I'm going to say the Cowboys are going to have a bit of a party up there. They'll get up for this game. They'll be wanting to heap more misery on the Broncos. I think the Cowboys 13+. I think Broncos are demoralised at the moment.
Hard for the Broncos too. Payne Haas and Ezra Mann. They're massive outs. I think the Cowboys at home, looking to solidify themselves in the top 8. I think they'll get home. Yeah, Cowboys by 8.
Yeah, come on, Toddy, get the job done. I just like if we miss the finals, then as long as the Broncos miss the finals as well.
Yes,
that's all right. Yes. And the final game on your Super Saturday, another big game. The Dragons versus the Bulldogs. So Dragons in 8th, Bulldogs 5th. This is at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. This is a throwback to the 70s and 80s, isn't it? This game. With the Dragons with that upset win last week, and then the Bulldogs playing strongly. I'm going to stick with the Bulldogs in a close one. I think their defense will be a little bit will get them home. They don't score a lot of points, but I think this will be a fairly close one. Bulldogs by 4.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be Dragons by 2. And I think it'll be a close one. It'll be like 18-16 or 20-18 or something like that.
Yeah, you get the feeling it's going to be a bit like that.
Yep, yeah, but I'm going to pick the Dragons in that one.
Okay. Sunday footy. So the 2:00 game is the game that we just spoke about. Dolphins versus Warriors. We're both back in the Warriors, aren't we? Close one,
mate.
but
Yep.
yeah, you said Warriors and Golden Point. I said Warriors by 2. I'll take either one of those. And then the match of the day is somehow the Knights versus the Tigers at 4:00. That's your TV game. That is at McDonald Jones Stadium. Extremely difficult to get any kind of enthusiasm about this one, but someone's got to win it, and I think the Knights at home will be too good for the Tigers.
Knights at home. I'll tell you now. I'll give you the hot tip right now. I don't think I'll be watching it. I think I'll find something better to do.
You find anything else to do?
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's a hard watch. Both those teams are a hard watch.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to pick the Knights, but I hope the Tigers win.
It'd be good, wouldn't it? I mean, we've both got soft spot for the Tigers. Like, no one wants to see them get hammered every week, and it'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to see the Knights. Tigers get up.
But we're safe from getting the spoon, aren't we? We can't win the wooden spoon, can we?
Oh no, surely
good.
Not.
Okay, well then, Tigers, most definitely. Let's see the Tigers win.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then we got round 3 of the NRLW. Kicks off on Saturday with the Roosters up against the Tigers at Industry Group Stadium at Gosford. Is that the old Central Coast Stadium? Is it? Have they renamed it?
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
Okay.
Another ground pretty close to our hearts.
It is. I'm going to go the Roosters in that one. I think the Roosters will win by plenty.
Sorry, what was the fixture again? Roosters.
Roosters Tigers.
Oh yes, Roosters by a lot. By a country mile, yes.
Yep. The Raiders at GIO Stadium again, up against the Sharks. That's on Saturday afternoon. Curtain raised into the Sharkies Manly game. I'm going to go the Raiders in a close one. Raiders by 4.
Yeah, I agree. Raiders at home. They seem to have a good record there, and they're a bit like the first grade side, very plucky.
Yep.
And they always hang in the fight. So I'll go the Raiders as well. Close one.
The Cowboys versus Eels at Totally Workware Stadium. I still don't know why they don't play these games as curtain raisers to the first grade. Cowboys should be it's a home game for the Cowboys. They should be playing at curtain raiser North Queensland game, but they're not for some reason. I don't know why. It's a standalone game at Totally Workware Stadium, which I think is East Tigers home ground up there in Brisbane.
It is. Yeah. East. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick the Eels in this one over the Cowboys. The Eels have been pretty plucky this year, so I'll pick the Eels in a close one.
Yeah, I think the Eels will be too strong.
Oh, there you go. It's a double header at Totally Workware Stadium because the second game up there is the Broncos up against the Titans. Again, why they're playing this game there is beyond me. Titans, who are leading the comp in the NRLW at the moment, I'm going to pick the Titans over the winless Broncos. Broncos to continue their losing ways in both men's and females rugby league.
Oh, can't go past that. I'll have to agree with that one. yeah, exactly.
And the final game of the round for the NRLW is the Knights versus Dragons at McDonald Jones Stadium. Knights all class. I think they'll account for the Dragons up there at home. I think the Knights by 10.
Yeah. I think Knights will be too good as well. The Dragons.
Beautiful. Well, that's it, mate. Everything previewed. Yep. Shaun Johnson spoken about. Sad week in Warriors Rugby League, but saying goodbye to a legend of the club.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that's given his heart and soul for the team, and he'll go down in history as one of the great Warriors, always remembered fondly, and but at least it gave us a reason to not think about that dreadful performance from last week, and
That's
get
true.
to focus on something a bit more positive and sort of. I saw the SJ highlights getting plenty of shares and everything on social media, which was great. And it's good to hear guys like even Brandy Alexander talking positive about the club and that sort of thing for once as well. A lot of well wishes coming from all like the media outlets and So you still got 4 more games. Still got 4 more games in the jersey, and as we said, let's just hope that the boys can get up for it and get the win. A win.
Yeah, absolutely.
However many wins, but just at least one more.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruin Hammer will be back next Thursday night at 6 p.m. Where we will review this week's game against the Dolphins. Rob can tell us all about the pre-game event that's happening at the Lord Alfred. I'm sure there'll be plenty of snaps and probably a vlog done.
Yeah, there'll definitely be a vlog.
Day out.
Yep.
And then we'll preview the Warriors round 24 away game against the Sea Eagles next week as well. Before we wrap it up tonight, I just want to again acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters, especially our Patreon supporters for their continued support, and give a special shout out to our gold tier Patreons, Alf Tuolave, Malcolm Earnshaw, Chris Wellington, Nigel Phillips, Sean Whiskey, Ken Wills, and Stevie Williams. We thank you very, very much for your continued support. If you want to show your appreciation and support, you can head to our Patreon page to subscribe to our bronze tier general support level or our silver or gold tiers, which include supporter merchandise and other benefits. The link for that is scrolling across the bottom of your screens as we speak. And another way to show your support is to head to our Redbubble store, where we've got a great range of exclusive Ruin Hammer merchandise, honouring past legends of our club, as well as some great novelty prints reliving some memorable moments. I'm rocking the Shaun Johnson shirt tonight in honour of Shaun. Rob's got the signed RTS shirt. Is that it?
So this is going to be given away. Yeah, it is. So our good mate Ken Wills, sorry, I'm terrible at that. Ken Wills has got this signed by Roger at the Dolphins game. So we're going to be giving this away as a prize towards the end of the season. So check out your socials, and we'll let you know how you can be in the running to win that. Speaking of Ken, I did see earlier that he had 2 tickets to give away for Sunday's game. So if you are in Southeast Queensland, get in touch with Ken Wills. He's got a couple of tickets he said he'll be giving away for that game. But yeah, jump onto Redbubble store if you do want any merchandise. I'm going to be doing a Shaun Johnson tribute shirt as well, just to sort of sum up his time at the club. There's a Jazz Tavaga one up there as well. So jump on there and have a look. There's new designs going up every day. I'm going and updating some of the designs. And so if you want to, it's a great way for you to get some merchandise, and you also be supporting us in the process. So make sure you go through the Ruin Hammer store on Redbubble and grab yourself some merch.
And they're priced a really good price. I think they're only about $23 or something like that. Which
that's right. They're always having sales. Yep. They're always having specials on there as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Good quality shirts and great prints.
You can
rep your Warriors. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. On that note, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for everyone that was in the chat there with some great comments and memories of Shaun for themselves and other stuff that everyone was talking about. We thank you all for your continued support of Ruin Hammer. It is very, very much appreciated. We'll see you all next Thursday night. Hopefully all you Southeast Queensland Warriors fans will be
get to the game. Get out there. Last time to see SJ at Suncorp, remember? So get out there. Don't miss out.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Up the wires. Everyone stay safe.
Up the wires. Take care, everyone.